What if Obi-Wan died instead of Qui-Gon? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Qui-Gon stares at the small casket as a laser begins incinerating its contents. Although it is part of Jedi tradition, he cannot help but feel a wrongness in this action. Obi-Wan should be buried in nature, surrounded by trees and flowers. He looks around at the rest of the hooded Jedi Council. They make for a solemn sight, and while he appreciates the respect they show, doubts creep into his mind. They were a grim lot and far too rigid. Hardly the place for someone like Anakin to be raised. As the ceremony ends, he is more certain that he should train the boy elsewhere. When Qui-Gon arrives in Anakin's room, he's surprised to see his own master kneeling and talking to the boy. Dooku politely excused himself and walked out to meet him. Like the rest of the council, his master's face was a mask of solemnity, but there was genuine compassion in his eyes.
Qui-Gon, I'm truly sorry for your loss. To lose an apprentice is bad enough. To lose one like this...
His voice trailed off, and he shook his head. Qui-Gon squeezed his master's hand.
Thank you. Things have been difficult, but I'm grateful to have you here. I would be a poor master if I was not with you at such a time. But I must ask, is it true that you intend to leave the Order?
Master, I have thought long and hard about this decision.
The boy must be trained, even if I must do it on my own. Then train him you shall. But not alone. Let me help. Two masters are better than one.
Master, I cannot ask you to leave the Jedi.
You are not asking, and this Order has nothing left for me. You are my only tie to the Jedi.
Qui-Gon stares at his master in surprise, but he eagerly accepts, leaving the Jedi Order and Coruscant behind. They head to Cyrano, where Dooku reclaims his title as Count of the planet and its massive fortune, allowing him to pay for Anakin and Qui-Gon's training and expenses. He provides them with food, lodgings, and a starship. Qui-Gon believes they must travel the galaxy to understand the Force's nature. They go to places like Dantooine, Dagobah, and countless other worlds with strong connections to the Force. There, Anakin learns how different beings are connected to the Force and how different cultures see them. Qui-Gon teaches through the living Force. Rather than just master his powers, he shows Anakin how to channel the Force all around him. For his part, Dooku focuses on teaching Anakin about lightsaber combat. Even though he's decades older, the Jedi Master's fighting skills are as sharp as ever, and Anakin finds himself roundly defeated again and again. Occasionally, Dooku goes with them to travel and meditate, but his new position of Count requires him to spend most of his time on Cyrano. Perhaps Qui-Gon's most important lesson is that mastering the Force is not simply about accumulating power, but using their abilities to help the galaxy. This is how balance is achieved. When they are not training, the two travel to places in need, stopping warlords, fighting criminals, and helping those in need. Dooku often provides them with information or supplies. Dooku's heart swells with pride at their success, but that feeling is cut short with a headache. The feeling is familiar, like a probing needle prying into his mind and searching through his thoughts. The Count immediately quickly returns to his private chambers to meditate. Once he is alone, Dooku takes a deep breath and lets the dark energy filling his body dissipate. Once they are out, a shadowy figure takes form.
Sidious, I apologize for the delay, but things have changed.
Does that change happen to those involved in training the Chosen One?
Yes, just as things have changed when you sent your apprentice after Qui-Gon. Your interests no longer concern me, Sidious. I will not allow you to corrupt him.
Do you think I am asking for your permission? I could expose your dealings, your departure from the Jedi Order.
I care little for what the Jedi think of me. Tell them and expose yourself.
Yes, But there is one whose opinion you do care about, isn't there? Qui-Gon. He would be devastated to learn the truth, would he not?
Dooku was frozen, his mind racing. The darkness that he has tried to expel now comes flowing back.
Very well. If you will not hand over the boy, I will accept another service for now. I require a large sum of credits. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to inform Qui-Gon of just how far you've truly fallen.
Very well. Take your money.
Palpatine smiles, and the shadow fades. Despite that, he knows that this is far from over, and that Palpatine will not truly leave Anakin or Qui-Gon alone. The next time the two return, Dooku suggests that they halt their missions. However, the pair are committed to traveling the galaxy and helping others, especially Anakin. The decision is only strengthened as they receive reports of a famine on a nearby planet, and the two agree to help the people. Reluctantly, Dooku agrees and allows them to go. On the planet, the two Jedi busy themselves in helping the people however they can. Qui-Gon spends days in the infirmary, healing the sick and comforting those beyond help. Anakin focuses more on practical efforts, distributing relief goods and using his incredible powers to repair houses and farms. For several days they continue to work, but their supplies begin to run out, requiring the two to gather another round of aid. As they prepare to depart, Anakin frowns as he senses a low, faint, ticking sound. Using the Force to strengthen his senses, he searches for the source. Without warning, an explosion erupts not far from them, a deafening boom that shakes the ground beneath their feet. Dust and debris explode outward, and screams fill the air. Anakin and Qui-Gon are thrown back. The Force cushions their impacts, but both Jedi are left dazed. They have some cuts and bruises, but are mostly okay. All around them, the people are panicking and running around. With some effort, Anakin manages to calm the mob, using the Force to calm their panicked emotions. Once things stabilize, the pair depart, but the people remain frightened. When Dooku hears of this, he immediately insists they do not do any more relief missions, but Anakin can't bring himself to stop. If anything, these recent attacks only fuel his desire to help those in need. Seeing this, Dooku cannot bring himself to argue any further and allows them to continue, providing them with more supplies. The two Jedi continue providing whatever comfort and help they can, thankfully without incident. But as they distribute the last of the supplies, Anakin hears a faint sound behind him and whirls to Qui-Gon's side, deflecting the blaster bolt aimed at his master's head. Civilians scream and scatter in every direction, adding to the confusion while Qui-Gon readies his weapon. Jango Fett, in his sleek Mandalorian armor, standing on a nearby rooftop, raining down shots, forcing Anakin and Qui-Gon to deflect them with their lightsabers. Jango leaps from the rooftop with a burst from his jetpack and fires blaster bolts from his hip, but he dives aside as Qui-Gon spins and aims a blow at his head.
You're wasting your time, Jedi. I'm here for two things. Qui-Gon dead, and Skywalker.
Jango unleashes a flurry of miniature rockets from his gauntlet. Qui-Gon is thrown back as he must try to avoid them, but he's only saved by Anakin using the Force and catching them in midair. He proceeds to crush them with the Force, but none of this halts Jango Fett. Jango shifts his focus to Anakin, leaping back with his jetpack and pouring blaster fire. Although Anakin deflects most of these, Jango attacks from different angles, forcing the young Jedi to consistently shift his stance. The bounty hunter activates his flamethrower, spewing a torrent of fire toward Anakin, who backflips off the ledge, but the heat licks at his tunic. The Mandalorian draws a curved vibroblade and slashes at Anakin's side. The Jedi screams in pain and clutches his chest. He's about to stab him again when he notices a shadow loom over him and turns to face Qui-Gon. The bounty hunter's blade clashes with Qui-Gon's lightsaber in a flurry of sparks. Qui-Gon sidesteps each of Jango's slashes and counters with precision strikes of his own.
Impressive, Master Jedi. But I'm not here to admire your form.
Jango reaches for a wrist-mounted dart launcher, aiming toward Anakin. Qui-Gon's eyes widen in realization. He throws his hand out and shoves Jango back with the Force. Rather than fall over, he corrects himself and flies up with his jetpack. "Why are you after us?"
"You're a bounty worth more than credits. I've been paid to bring you in and kill the one who trained you."
We need to retreat. We can't win this here.
"I'm not leaving without stopping him." Jango fires a rocket from his gauntlets straight at the two Jedi. Qui-Gon reacts instantly, using the Force to throw up a protective barrier. The explosion hits the shield, but the blast knocks both him and Anakin off their feet.
Now, Anakin, we need to lead him away from the people.
Anakin hesitates, but he knows Qui-Gon is right. Together, they retreat into the shadows of the alleyways, using the narrow streets and debris to their advantage, leading Jango away from the civilians. As they clear the alley, a shadow looms overhead as they see Dooku's solar sailor approaching. The door opens and allows them to leap inside, just as Jango Fett appears. The droid pilot quickly speeds off, leaving the Mandalorian alone. When they return to Cyrano, the pair are surprised to see that Dooku is not alone. He is with a pair of Jedi, including Mace Windu. The group is in a heated argument with Dooku. The Count's eyes light up as he sees them.
You have come at a bad time, Qui-Gon. The Jedi have come here dragging their baseless slander against me. We've come with evidence, Count. You can call it slander, but the truth will come to light.
Master Windu, what's going on here?
We suspect Dooku was behind the recent attacks, including the one targeting you and Anakin.
That's absurd. How could Dooku be involved? He's been helping us. He's the only reason we survived that attack.
Not everything is as it seems, young Skywalker.
Mace lifts up a datapad.
Senator Poe Nudo of the Hypercommunications Cartel has been broadcasting falsified reports, blaming the Jedi for the attacks on civilians. We've traced these transmissions to one of Dooku's known associates, just one of many disreputable people the Count is associated with.
He shows the list of names that the Count has been in talks with. Dooku's eyes widen as he sees his old contacts back when he served Palpatine. Newt Gunray, Poe Nudo, San Hill, and Wat Tambor.
Poe Nudo. I haven't spoken to him in years. Whatever dealings I have with him are long behind me.
Mace pulls out a small holoprojector. A set of banking transactions materialize in the air, showing Dooku's name alongside large sums of credits transferred to a shell account.
Is that so, Dooku? Because we have evidence that says otherwise. A large number of credits were transferred from one of your accounts into a shell company. That money was used to purchase explosives and to hire a bounty hunter.
At the mention of the bounty hunter, Anakin's eyes widen. The realization hits him like a tidal wave. You sent Jango Fett after us? Dooku's expression hardens, but his tone remains cold and unmeasured.
This is untrue, unfounded. Why would I wish my own apprentice murdered? Oh? Then you should have no problem producing the missing funds.
Dooku stutters and tries to think of a response, but there is a long pause. Anakin is beyond reason now. His anger flares, the room seeming to darken as his hand grips the hilt of his lightsaber. He steps forward, his breath heavy with rage. Anakin ignites his lightsaber and charges at Dooku, his movements fueled by fury. Qui-Gon and Mace shout at him to stop, but Anakin is already moving in a downward chip. Dooku barely blocks the attack with his crimson blade. He stares at Anakin in surprise, but shoves him back.
I will not fight you.
Each strike grows heavier and more aggressive. Dooku remains on the defensive, blocking the attacks and fighting defensively. When their weapons lock, he tries to push Anakin's lightsaber down and disarm him, but he cannot match Anakin's strength, who kicks Dooku back, sending the Count stumbling into a column. Dooku barely has time to recover before Anakin is upon him again. His eyes burn with fury as he raises his blade for the killing blow.
Anakin, no!
Qui-Gon's hand reaches out, catching Anakin with the Force and holding him in place. The blade hovers inches from Dooku's head.
This is not the Jedi way. Stand down. He betrayed us, Master.
Qui-Gon gently lowers Anakin's hand. He looks at the Count, his expression filled with hurt, betrayal, and disappointment. Then his expression hardens and turns away.
I know, Anakin, but this isn't the way to seek justice.
Anakin, still breathing heavily, deactivates his lightsaber. He casts one more look of pure loathing at Dooku, now slumped against the column.
Dooku will be brought before the Council. The Jedi will decide his fate. Master Trebor will escort him there. In the meantime, Qui-Gon, the Council has always valued your insight. We've made mistakes, and now we ask you to return to the Order. We need your wisdom now more than ever.
For the sake of the galaxy, I'll return.
Good. But first, some witnesses have reported seeing Jango Fett's ship leaving the system. The local government managed to place a tracking beacon on it. The three of us can arrest him now while Master Trebor takes the Count to Coruscant.
Thankfully, it seems like Jango Fett didn't get far, as the local security forces tracked him to a nearby moon. There he lands his ship and remains, as if waiting for someone. This presents the Jedi with an opportunity as Mace, Anakin, and Qui-Gon all descend and make their way over to it. They approach the Slave One with their lightsabers ready, but find no sign of life. As they prepare to enter, the sound of blaster fire pierces the night. Jango Fett bursts from behind the rocks, firing rapid volleys of blaster bolts from both of his pistols. Mace is the first to react, whirling around, and Jango's blaster fire ricochets off of Mace's saber. Anakin and Qui-Gon split up, flanking Jango, but he turns to deal with Anakin, firing at him, but none of his shots get close. Jango's jetpack roars to life, lifting him off the ground as he fires a barrage of rockets from his wrists. Anakin detonates the rockets in midair. Those that don't explode throw up dirt and debris. Anakin leaps back and channels the dirt towards Jango. It smacks against him but doesn't slow him down. Jango rockets higher, trying to gain altitude. Mace springs into action, leaping after him, his lightsaber a blur as he slashes upward. Jango rolls mid-flight, barely dodging the deadly arc of Mace's blade. He fires off a barrage of shots from his blaster, but Mace deflects them. Suddenly, Anakin lunges into the air, coming up from below with his lightsaber raised. Jango spins at the last second, firing a wrist-mounted flamethrower in a wide arc. The jet of flame roars towards Anakin, but he twists and spins out of the way. Before Anakin can charge again, Jango slams a button on his gauntlet, launching a smoke grenade. The device explodes with a loud pop, filling the battlefield with thick, blinding smoke. From the mist, a figure steps through, but it isn't Jango Fett. Instead, a hooded figure approaches them and looks over.
Anakin Skywalker, it seems you found your way to me at last.
Anakin stops dead in his tracks, his heart pounding as he recognizes the voice. Although he's only heard it a few times, the voice was oddly memorable.
Chancellor? What's happening? What are you doing here?
I've come for you, Anakin. The time has come for you to embrace your true destiny. The Jedi are weak. They are holding you back. They will never survive the coming storm.
I'm not going with anyone. Too many people have deceived me.
My boy, you do not have much choice. Not unless you want Qui-Gon to survive this.
Something snaps in Anakin as he snarls in fury, his lightsaber shining as he charges at the Chancellor. In response, Palpatine smiles and readies his crimson blade. Anakin's lightsaber flashing in a wide arc. Palpatine grins and meets the strike head-on. He's faster than Anakin expected and finds himself having to act fast to avoid being skewered when Palpatine counterthrusts. Qui-Gon joins the fray, his green blade whirling as he engages the Sith Lord from the other side. Together, the Master and Apprentice begin advancing and pressing him. Palpatine counters both Jedi with deadly grace, his red lightsaber spinning and striking at inhuman speeds, using the Force to send bursts of energy at Anakin and Qui-Gon, keeping them off balance. When it forces them back, Anakin absorbs the power, using his training and then planting his feet to meet the next attack. Mace prepares to join them, but Jango leaps through the mist and knocks him to the ground. Jango pulls out a knife from his belt and slashes at Mace's midsection, but the Jedi is too quick. With a flick of his wrist, he disarms Jango and delivers a powerful kick, sending the bounty hunter sprawling across the ground. Meanwhile, Dooku closes his eyes and tries to clear his mind as he is strapped to the prison transport. He searches for peace, but then feels a ripple through the Force. His eyes snap open, and he turns to Coleman Trebor.
We need to turn back. Something is wrong. They're in danger.
I have my orders, Count Dooku. I'm taking you back to the Council.
You don't understand. If we do not intervene, it will be too late.
I wish I could believe you, old friend. Dooku sighs and takes a deep breath. With a swift motion, he summons the Force, knocking Trebor unconscious with a powerful wave. Trebor slumps over in the pilot's seat as Dooku begins to use the Force to free himself and take control of the ship.
Forgive me, Coleman, but I cannot let this happen.
Dooku redirects the ship to follow the tracking beacon to the planet just as the fight ramps up. As Dooku descends from the ramp, he sees the battle unfolding around them, and things are not going well. Anakin and Qui-Gon are locked in a deadly duel with Palpatine, and despite their skills, they struggle to keep up with Palpatine's raw power. Even with Anakin's powerful Force abilities, Palpatine's decades of experience allow him to counter their attacks and press them with his lightsaber. He adds to his powers by throwing bolts of lightning that push them on the defensive. Mace tries to help them, but he's cut off by Jango Fett, who continues to weave into the air with his jetpack. He stays just out of reach of Mace's violet lightsaber. Jango fires back at him, using well-aimed shots that keep some distance between them. Without hesitation, Dooku ignites his curved-hilted lightsaber and sprints into the battle.
Dooku, what are you doing here? I want to stop this madness, Master Windu.
Jango sees Dooku approaching and turns to face him, releasing a burst of fire from his flamethrower. Rather than dive out of the way, the Count thrusts his hand on either side of him, directing the flames there. He then leaps up forward, spinning and slashing his lightsaber forward. The bounty hunter slides aside and throws another volley of rockets. Mace leaps forward, slashing his lightsaber to destroy each attack, redirecting them before spinning the last rocket back at him. Although his Beskar armor absorbs most of the blast, the explosion is enough to distract him from Mace to leap up and slash at his jetpack, which begins to overload. He powers it down and drops to a crouch, firing his blaster at them. But without his jetpack, he can't maneuver properly, and Mace rushes at him. He slashes the blaster from his hands as Dooku comes at him from the other side and slashes his other blaster. Lastly, Mace finishes him off with a decapitating blow. But a scream draws their attention as Qui-Gon clutches his side and Palpatine manages to slash at him. This leaves Anakin fighting alone as he struggles to defend against his attacks. Seeing his master on the ground awakens a thunderous fury within him. He snarls viciously, channeling his rage into his attacks. The attacks become more aggressive and relentless as he gains strength. Even without his master, he's able to fight Palpatine on equal terms. When their lightsabers lock together, Palpatine can see the dark glow in his eyes.
I won't let you hurt anyone else.
Yes, that's it, Anakin. Feel your anger. It makes you stronger. Don't hold back. I can teach you how to control this power if you let me. I can show you everything.
He breaks their attacks and then rushes at a terrifying speed. Anakin is barely able to comprehend this attack and block. He counters with a flurry of erratic attacks, but the clumsy attacks can barely scratch Palpatine.
You are clumsy, but you can be more powerful under my guidance.
Anakin, don't listen.
As Anakin strikes again, Palpatine deftly sidesteps and sends him sprawling with a powerful force push. Beside him, Qui-Gon groans weakly and looks up at him imploringly. Palpatine holds his lightsaber ready, but another figure steps in front of them.
Enough of this, Sidious.
Dooku. Come to join the Jedi again? You were always weak.
Dooku doesn't respond and walks towards Anakin, helping him to his feet.
I understand you are angry with me, but let me make this right, without you corrupting yourself.
Anakin breathes heavily, his hands trembling, but Dooku's words slowly begin to calm him.
Let go of your hatred. It only feeds his power.
As Anakin takes a deep breath, Palpatine's face twists with fury. His hand shoots forward, lightning crackling from his fingertips. The attack is aimed at Anakin, but Dooku steps forward. His lightsaber is raised to block the attack, but the lightning is too powerful and sends Dooku stumbling back as it courses through him. Anakin looks at Palpatine in shock, watching Dooku double over in pain, and then gasps.
See how far the Jedi's teachings go. You will never see true power under them.
Anakin grits his teeth and rises to his feet. his blue eyes righteous with fury as he raises his lightsaber.
Let me show you what I learned.
Anakin's blade flashes toward Palpatine, the movements coming in quick but precise. Palpatine tries to counter, but Anakin's movements are faster now and more focused. As their sabers clash, Anakin slowly gains the upper hand as strength surges through him. He's joined by Mace, who absorbs the fury of Palpatine and launches himself forward in a flurry of attacks, driving Palpatine back. The Sith Lord snarls in frustration as his advantage slips away. Just as Palpatine tries to summon another burst of lightning, Anakin ducks beneath his guard and slashes through the hilt of Sidious's lightsaber. The crimson blade begins to short-circuit and disappears, allowing Anakin to slip in and drive his lightsaber into his chest. As Palpatine falls, Anakin deactivates his lightsaber and takes a deep breath. Dooku kneels down in front of him and bows his head.
Anakin, I know you must hate me, but please know that I never wished for you to be betrayed.
Master, thank you for being here now.
The group quickly returns to the Jedi Temple, where Dooku's testimony on Palpatine clears their names. Without either of them pulling the strings, the Republic can deal with the Separatist crisis far more effectively, and the war is averted. Meanwhile, a new Chancellor is elected who sees how close the Republic was to falling and begins the process of cleaning the Republic of corruption. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.